First Contact's bitter lesson. Commander Vega Riley stood motionless on the bridge of the EDS Thunderbolt, Earth's first and only deep space dreadnought. Through the expansive viewport, the vastness of space stretched before her, punctuated by the approaching Surrection fleet. 17 warships arranged in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with an iridescent blue-green sheen that seemed to absorb starlight rather than reflect it. "They're hailing us again, Commander," Lieutenant Quan reported, his voice tight with tension. "Same message as before." Riley nodded, her jaw set. "Play it." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the imposing figure of Fleet Lord Zaxral. The Surrection commander's scaled skin rippled with bioluminescent patterns that betrayed his amusement, 4 eyes blinking in unsynchronized intervals. "Human vessel." The alien's voice reverberated through the bridge, translator software struggling to capture the condescending tone. "Your presence in Surrection space constitutes an act of aggression. We acknowledge your attempt at constructing a warship. How quaint. Surrender now, and we may consider preserving your species as a curiosity. Resistance would be pointless, and frankly, beneath our notice." The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in silence. Riley felt the eyes of her crew upon her, 87 men and women representing humanity's last desperate gambit. "Tactical assessment?" Riley asked, turning to her weapons officer. Commander Sato's face remained impassive as he delivered the grim report. "Their smallest escort vessel outguns us 3-1. Their flagship carries energy weapons we can't even properly scan. Our conventional armaments would be like throwing pebbles at a mountain." "And Prometheus?" Riley asked, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. Sato's expression shifted slightly. "Dr. Chandler reports the system is operational, but completely untested in combat conditions. The power requirements alone could cripple our engines." Chief Engineer Alvarez spoke up from her station. "The reactor modifications are holding, Commander, but I can't guarantee they'll withstand the strain of a full deployment. We're pushing theoretical limits here." Riley walked slowly to the tactical display, studying the formation of the Surrection ships. Earth had discovered the alien civilization just 14 months ago. Advanced, expansionist, and utterly dismissive of human technology and culture. Diplomatic overtures had been met with contempt. When the Surrections destroyed an outpost on Europa without warning, killing 200 colonists, Earth's unified governments had authorized the accelerated completion of the Thunderbolt. What they hadn't told the Surrections was that humanity had discovered something in the ice caves of Enceladus. Ancient technology from a civilization long vanished. Technology that humanity had adapted and integrated into the Thunderbolt's experimental weapons system. They called it Prometheus. "They expect us to run," Riley said finally. "They've never seen us fight. They think we're primitive, scared animals." She straightened her shoulders. "Let's educate them." Lieutenant Quan looked up, eyes wide. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command." Riley nodded, and the aged face of Admiral Chen appeared on screen. "Commander Riley," Chen said, his voice betraying exhaustion. "The Surrection fleet has deployed what we believe to be orbital bombardment platforms around Mars. We've lost contact with Olympus City. 2 million civilians." His voice faltered. "You are authorized to deploy Prometheus. Whatever the cost, they must be stopped here." The bridge fell silent as the transmission ended. Riley closed her eyes briefly, the weight of responsibility settling onto her shoulders. "Plot an intercept course with the Surrection flagship," she ordered. "All hands to battle stations. Prepare Prometheus for deployment." The Thunderbolt surged forward, its engines pushing to maximum output. On the view screen, the Surrection ships adjusted their formation, seemingly confused by the human vessel's approach. "They're targeting us," Seto reported calmly. "Multiple weapons locks from 4 vessels. Evasive pattern Delta," Riley commanded. "Deploy conventional countermeasures." The Thunderbolt shuddered as the first volley of Surrection weapons fire grazed its shields. Alarms blared across the bridge. Shields at 60%. Alvarez called out. That was just a glancing hit. Riley gripped the command rail. Status of Prometheus. Dr. Chandler's voice came through the comm system from deep within the ship. Power cycling at 93%. The alien technology is interfacing with our systems, but there's something else happening. The energy readings are evolving. Another hit rocked the ship violently. A console exploded in a shower of sparks, and emergency systems kicked in, suppressing the flames. Shields at 30%. Alvarez shouted over the blaring alarms. We can't take another direct hit. The tactical display showed the Siraxian ships moving to surround them, toying with the human vessel like predators with wounded prey. They're transmitting again, Quan reported. Fleet Lord Zach Sproul appeared once more, his bioluminescent patterns now pulsing rapidly. Impressive that your vessel survived even a reduced power barrage. Perhaps humans will provide more entertainment than expected before your extinction. Your species' final moments will be recorded for our historical archives. Riley met the alien's gaze unflinchingly. You should have studied Earth's history before you attacked us, Fleet Lord. Humans don't surrender when cornered. We fight harder. She cut the transmission and turned to Chandler on the comm. Doctor, we're out of time. Activate Prometheus. Commander, Chandler's voice wavered. The system is showing unprecedented energy fluctuations. It's as if the technology is adapting itself. Is it operational? Riley demanded. A pause. Yes, but. Then fire. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. The bridge crew held their breath. The Siraxian vessels closed in, weapons ports glowing with gathering energy. Then the thunderbolt shuddered, not from an impact, but from within. The lights dimmed as power was diverted. The deck plating vibrated beneath their feet. On the forward hull, panels slid apart, revealing a crystalline aperture that began to glow with an intense blue-white light. Tendrils of energy crawled across the ship's exterior, forming patterns that mimicked the ancient writing discovered alongside the technology. Energy levels exceeding projections by 800%. Chandler reported, awe in his voice. The system it's evolving as it operates. The Siraxian ships began evasive maneuvers, finally recognizing the threat. Too late. Prometheus fired. A beam of coherent energy, impossibly bright, lanced from the thunderbolt directly toward the Siraxian flagship. But instead of a straightforward weapon discharge, the beam split into hundreds of smaller threads that weaved through space with apparent intelligence, avoiding the smaller Siraxian vessels and converging on their target. The flagship's advanced shields flared brilliantly for a fraction of a second before collapsing. The energy tendrils enveloped the massive warship, seeming to pass through its hull without resistance. For a moment, the ship appeared unchanged, suspended in space. Then it began to disintegrate from within, breaking apart not in a catastrophic explosion, but in a controlled deconstruction, as if being unmade at a molecular level. The bridge of the Thunderbolt fell silent, all eyes fixed on the viewscreen as the pride of the Siraxian fleet dissolved into a cloud of particles that glittered like stardust in the void. Prometheus has disengaged, Chandler reported, his voice barely above a whisper, power levels stabilizing. The remaining Siraxian vessels hung motionless in space, sensors no doubt trying to comprehend what they had just witnessed. They're retreating, Sato announced, disbelief evident in his voice. All vessels, maximum acceleration out of the system. Riley watched as the alien ships fled, their perfect formation abandoned in panic. She should have felt triumph, but instead found herself troubled by the display of power they had unleashed. Power they barely understood. Damage report, she commanded, turning away from the viewport. Multiple systems overloaded, Alvarez replied. Engines at 40%. Shields recovering slowly, but we're still in the fight. And Prometheus. Chandler's response came after a concerning pause. The system has changed, Commander. The energy patterns, the code structure, it's rewriting itself. This wasn't just a weapon discharge. It was evolution. Riley stared at the dissipating cloud that had once been the Siraxian flagship. Send everything we have to Earth, Command. They need to know what happened here. She turned to face her crew, their expressions a mixture of awe and apprehension. The Siraxians will be back, she said firmly. With a larger fleet. We've taught them to fear us, but fear makes enemies more dangerous. She looked once more at the stars beyond the viewport. We just changed the course of human history. Now we need to make sure we survive it. The Reckoning. 16 hours after the destruction of the Siraxian flagship, the EDS Thunderbolt drifted in the shadow of Saturn's rings, its hull illuminated by the pale golden light of the distant sun. Inside the ship's cavernous engineering section, Commander Riley watched as Dr. Chandler and Chief Engineer Alvarez argued over a holographic display of the Prometheus system. It's not just adapting, it's evolving, Chandler insisted, his hands moving through the projection, highlighting sections of alien code that pulsed with a rhythm reminiscent of a heartbeat. The technology is integrating with our systems far beyond the original implementation. Alvarez shook her head. That's impossible. Even with adaptive algorithms. Impossible by human standards. Chandler interrupted. But whoever built this technology, they weren't human. And I'm starting to think they weren't even using it as a weapon. Riley stepped forward. What was it then? Chandler hesitated. I believe it's a tool for molecular reformation, not designed to destroy, but to transform. The Siraxian ship wasn't destroyed in the conventional sense. It was reconfigured. Into what? Riley demanded. I don't know, Chandler admitted. But the energy readings we're getting from the debris field suggest the particles are still active at a quantum level. Lieutenant Kwan's voice came urgently through the comm system. Commander to the bridge. Long-range sensors have detected multiple Siraxian signatures entering the system. Riley was already moving. How many? 32 vessels, Commander. 3 of them are at least twice the size of the flagship we encountered. By the time Riley reached the bridge, the tactical display was cluttered with enemy signatures, approaching in a formation far more cautious than before. They've learned, Seto observed grimly. They're maintaining distance and spreading out to reduce the effectiveness of a targeted attack. Status of Prometheus? Riley asked. System is online, Chandler's voice responded from engineering. But power levels are fluctuating. The reactor modifications are holding, but barely. We may get 1 shot, maybe 2 if we're lucky, before we risk a catastrophic overload. Riley studied the approaching fleet. The Siraxians had indeed learned from their first encounter, adapting their tactics to counter the unexpected threat. But they still didn't fully understand what they were facing. Neither did humanity, for that matter. Commander, Kwan called out. We're receiving a transmission, encrypted format. It's from Earth Command. Admiral Chen's face appeared on screen, looking even more haggard than before. Commander Riley, the Siraxians have deployed additional bombardment platforms around Earth. They're demanding our immediate surrender and the handover of the Thunderbolt. They've given us 6 hours. We can intercept them before they reach Earth. Riley responded immediately. Prometheus worked once. At what cost, Commander? Chen interrupted. Our scientists have analyzed your data. The energy released by that system is like nothing we've ever seen. It's changing the fundamental properties of space in the affected region. If you deploy it near Earth, the implication hung in the air between them. What are your orders, Admiral? Riley asked quietly. Chen closed his eyes briefly. Draw them away from Earth. As far as you can. If you must use Prometheus again, do it where the collateral damage will be minimized. The transmission ended, leaving Riley with the impossible weight of the decision before her. Plot a course for the Kuiper Belt, she ordered. Maximum sustainable speed. Make sure the Siraxians can track us. The Thunderbolt accelerated away from Saturn, its damaged engines straining with the effort. As expected, the Siraxian fleet adjusted course to pursue. They're following, Seto confirmed. But 3 vessels have broken off toward Earth. Riley's hands tightened on the command rail. Are they within range of Prometheus? Yes, but a deployment would drain power from our engines. Alvarez warned from engineering. We wouldn't make it to the Kuiper Belt. Target the Earth-bound vessels, Riley commanded. Minimal power, just enough to disable them. Chandler's voice came through, concern evident. Commander, I can't guarantee precision control at reduced power. The system has its own parameters now. We have no choice, Riley responded. Fire. The Prometheus aperture opened again, the crystalline structure now altered, more complex than before. The energy that emerged was different too, darker, with currents of deep violet weaving through the blue-white brilliance. The beam split as before, but with a fluid grace that seemed almost organic. It reached the 3 Syraxian vessels with uncanny precision, enveloping them in a web of energy. But instead of disintegrating them, the energy seemed to phase through their hulls, leaving them intact but darkened, drifting powerless. Energy signature of the Syraxian ships has been neutralized, Sato reported, bewilderment in his voice. They're dormant. Prometheus power levels stabilizing, Chandler added. But the system configuration has changed again. It's learning. The Thunderbolt continued its journey outward, the remaining Syraxian fleet following at a cautious distance. Hours passed as they approached the fringes of the solar system, leaving the warm light of the sun behind. Riley gathered her senior officers in the tactical room, the holographic display showing their position at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. We've drawn them far enough, she said. This is where we make our stand. The Syraxians have maintained pursuit but haven't attempted to engage, Sato reported. They're waiting for us to make a move. Riley nodded. They want to observe Prometheus again, to understand it. She turned to Chandler. And what is your assessment, Doctor? Chandler looked troubled. The system has integrated further with the ship. It's not just drawing power from our reactor anymore. It's interfacing with all major systems. And there's something else. He hesitated. The debris field where the Syraxian flagship was destroyed. It's showing organized patterns of movement at the quantum level. What does that mean? Riley demanded. I don't know, Chandler admitted. But I believe when Prometheus fires again, the effect will be different. The ship's alert system suddenly blared. The Syraxians are moving. Quan called from the bridge. All vessels closing rapidly. Riley and her officers hurried back to the bridge, where the tactical display showed the enemy fleet abandoning their caution, charging toward the Thunderbolt in an all-out assault. They've decided we're too dangerous to study, Riley realized aloud. They're going to overwhelm us with numbers. Shields at maximum, Alvarez reported. But they won't hold against a concentrated attack. Prometheus, Riley asked. Online, Chandler confirmed. But Commander, I need to warn you. The system has reconfigured itself extensively. Whatever happens next, it won't be like before. The Syraxian vessels opened fire, dozens of energy weapons converging on the Thunderbolt. The shields flared brilliantly as they absorbed the first barrage. Shields at 60% and falling. Alvarez called out. We can't take much more of this. Riley made her decision. Target the center of the Syraxian formation. Full power to Prometheus. The ship shuddered as power was diverted. The crystalline aperture on the hull opened, now completely transformed from its original configuration. It pulsed with energy that shifted through colors human eyes had never seen before. Energy levels rising exponentially, Chandler reported, alarm in his voice. The system is drawing power from somewhere else. It's exceeding our reactor output by orders of magnitude. Prometheus fired. But this time, there was no beam. Instead, a sphere of swirling energy expanded from the Thunderbolt, growing rapidly until it engulfed the entire Syraxian fleet. Within the sphere, space itself seemed to bend and warp, light twisting into impossible geometries. The Syraxian ships froze in place, caught in the distortion. Then, one by one, they began to change, not disintegrating as the flagship had, but transforming. Their hulls shifted, structures rearranging at a molecular level. "What's happening?" Riley demanded, staring at the incredible sight. "It's not destruction," Chandler whispered. "It's reconstruction." Before their astonished eyes, the Siraxian fleet was remade. Weapons systems dissolved, replaced by different structures. Power signatures changed, becoming harmonious rather than chaotic. When the energy sphere finally dissipated, the transformed Siraxian vessels hung motionless in space, still recognizable, but fundamentally altered. "We're receiving a transmission," Quan announced, disbelief in his voice. From the lead Siraxian vessel, the view screen activated, revealing not Fleet Lord Zaxral, but a different Siraxian, its bioluminescent patterns flowing in gentle, peaceful rhythms. "Human vessel," the alien spoke, its voice lacking the earlier condescension. "We understand now. The technology you wield, it was not meant for war. It was meant for healing, for transformation. Our aggression has been reconfigured." Riley stepped forward. "What do you mean, reconfigured?" "The weapon you used," the Siraxian explained. "It does not destroy. It changes. Our ships, our very minds, they have been realigned. We see now the error of our conquest. We seek only cooperation, understanding." The bridge crew exchanged stunned glances. "The technology," Chandler said slowly. "It wasn't a weapon at all. It was a tool for peaceful intervention, created by a species advanced enough to understand that the greatest victory isn't destroying your enemy. It's transforming them into allies." Riley finished. The Siraxian nodded. "We will return to our homeworld to spread this understanding. The humans have taught us a bitter, necessary lesson, not through force, but through transformation." As the transmission ended, Riley turned to the viewport, watching the transformed fleet begin their journey home. The Prometheus system had gone dormant, its crystalline structure now seamlessly integrated with the ship's hull. "Send a message to Earth Command," Riley ordered. Tell them the war is over, and humanity has gained more than just survival. We've gained wisdom that might change the course of galactic history." She looked at the stars beyond, countless worlds waiting to be discovered, and felt a profound sense of possibility. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged not just victorious, but enlightened. They had unlocked power beyond their understanding, but in doing so, perhaps they had taken their first steps toward becoming the civilization that had created Prometheus in the first place. "Take us home," Riley said quietly. "Our real journey is just beginning."